The Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker Hotline.
Flash from the past. Gilbert Little, who is he's kind of an iconic sports figure in the local community, involved with the Shreveport Captains, the Hal Sutton Foundation, so much. I mean, the list is so long. Gilbert, how you been?
Been doing great, guys. It's good to talk to you. I just hate that we're having to do it with news like we're having today.
Yeah, you were very close to Bob Griffin, we're talking about, who we lost yesterday. Tell us about your relationship with Bob.
Well, I moved to Shreveport in 1984 and went to work at KSLA in August of 84, and Bob had a series called Traveling Texas that he did. And a lot of people in Shreveport didn't know that, but Bob's contract was with the Texas Department of Tourism. So the guys that were doing that at KSLA at the time were Roger Herring and John Frank, and they said, hey, we got a new guy here. Let's let him work with Bob, because Bob was very demanding. He wanted his pieces to be perfect. He wanted everything about them to be top quality. And, that taught me so much about life, working hard and, demanding the best out of someone. So I started traveling with Bob. We just had a blast, started editing with Bob. And then when I left KSLA, I still shot cowboy games for Bob when he didn't have anybody to go over and do it. Then I went to work for the Captains, and so worked very closely with Bob. And then when I worked with Hal and became his agent, Bob got really interested in golf, and, we continued our friendship there. Then our family lost our youngest daughter in 2001, and Bob was the silent strength behind me. He just always called to check on me. He goes, hey, babe, look, I'm not going to bother you, but if you need something, I'm here.
Mr. Gilbert, pardon me a second, that you mentioned, and you can look on your Facebook page and see the photos of you and Griff, and you can just tell there is something far more than a professional relationship. Why do you think that what started off as a professional relationship, hey, kid, I need this, turned into the relationship, the bond that you and Mr. Bob had?
Well, I think Bob took me under his wing and became a mentor to me. And I appreciated that so very much. And, I just showed him a great deal of respect for what he was teaching me, and the fact that he took time with me and that he did truly care about me. And then, he referred to me as his illegitimate son. He goes, I never had a son, but if I did, you're my illegitimate son. And so I called him Pops, and he called me son. And that was our relationship. And then, 5 years ago, I moved over to Fort Worth and went into the banking business. And, I'm not a banker. I just play one in real life. And Bob used to get a kick out of that when I'd tell him that. And he said, well, son, you can do whatever you want to do. You've proven it. Just go do it. And, I had a wedding in Shreveport at the end of the year and called Bob and said, hey, I'm going to be there Saturday. Can we grab coffee? He goes, well, we're doing Christmas, but can we go at 8 o'clock? And he goes, and I got to be back home by 9:30. Denise wants me back home by 9:30. And, we sat and talked, and then he finally just said, I've told Denise that I want you to speak at my funeral. And, he goes, hopefully it won't be for a while, but, I'm going to, I want you to do that for me. So then I get a text a week later, and he goes, man, it's been a wild week. I've got pneumonia in the hospital. And so I called him. We talked then, and he seemed to be doing fine. And then got another text a week ago that said, hey, I'm back in the hospital for the 4th time. Got a heart cath on Wednesday to let me know if it's my bypass, but they think it's congestive heart failure. And then he sent me a text on Wednesday, please call when convenient. And I had 2 crazy days on Wednesday and Thursday, so I called him Friday, and we talked for at least 30 minutes. And it was so funny. He goes, hey, babe, look, got a favor. I'm like, what is it, Pops? He said, I've got a storage unit here in Shreveport, and it's full of my travel in Texas videotapes. Could you call the Fort Worth Library and see if they have an archives? I want to donate all of my videos to them so that, it goes somewhere. Plus, I need to clean out that storage unit. I'm paying too much for that thing. So, but, as I reflect on that phone call, there were a few other things that we discussed. And, it was probably in June of this past year when I was in Shreveport, I saw Bob and we finished up, and I just said, well, Bob, I've never told you, but I love you.
Mm.
And
Gilbert, you're going to make me cry.
You said you met Mr. Bob in what, 84, 85, 86, something along that. And that is like the folks we've had on this morning, from Daryl to Tim Brando to everybody. They've sort of talked about that, that sort of life change that Bob went through, from the old Bob to the new Bob, from the party Bob to the more, let's say, with all legitimacy, God-fearing, God-loving Bob Griffin. You met him about that time. What can you tell us about that, the old Bob versus the new?
Well, the old Bob, he loved to drink, and he always called it a handy pack. So I'm probably going to give away some trade secrets, but I do think the statute of limitations has expired.
Okay. There were crimes committed, Gilbert?
Well, when we edited his travel pieces at KSLA, there was a little, it was an ice machine, and Bob would run down to AP DeFatta's after the 10 o'clock news, and he would get what he called a handy pack. He'd get a handy pack for him and a handy pack for me. So it was a 6-pack of Budweiser.
Oh.
And he would stick it in that ice machine. It'd be so cold. So while we were editing, we were also drinking, which there was a station policy, no drinking at the station.
Y'all were drinking on the job, huh?
He did teach you a lot, young man, didn't he?
We went to Mardi Gras, I want to say it was in 1985, and we get back from Mardi Gras, and we're going through the footage to do a series on Live at 5 at KSLA. And I go, Bob, when did you shoot that parade? He goes, what? He said, when did you shoot that parade? That footage is great. He goes, son, you shot that.
Oh, that's too funny.
Good video. Wish
Gilbert,
I remembered it.
Gilbert, I can't thank you enough, and I'm sure we will see you when you're here, as we all pause to remember Bob whenever the arrangements are set.
A pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you soon. Hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you guys for honoring Bob. I love him dearly.